Do you find time in the day to find a simple pleasure?
Coffee and a biscuit. And it was about like bringing these people together.
First thing I learned was, well, how to say "we chef."
I need to be able to lift a pig above my head and this mixing bowl.
Woo! There are so many little pleasures you can find from cooking and baking. Hi everyone, and welcome to my online series, Simple Pleasures. Here I'll be joined by a special guest each week as we dive into all of life's simple pleasures and what a simple pleasure means to them. This week I'm joined by Ravneet Gill, an accomplished London pastry chef and food writer who also runs Countertalk, a platform designed to help connect chefs, provide education and promote a healthy work environment in the hospitality industry. She also recently launched the online puff pastry course. Hello!
Hi! Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, such a pleasure. I am a huge fan. I don't know how I discovered you. I'm trying to think.
I don't know how, but I'm a huge fan of you. So
that's great. I think it was via Instagram where a lot of my discoveries happen because I'm in Sweden most of the time. So I just like follow people in the UK. I'm like, oh, I'm missing out. And for ages when you had your pop-up bakery, I was like, oh, I want to be in London. I'm missing out.
And then when you said you wanted to come, me and Nicola were like, whoa, mind blown, because you know everything about amazing patisserie and pastry and, you know.
But
that was pressure.
What you were doing at Puff, I was like, because I followed you guys on Instagram, I was like, oh, this cube brioche with the pastry
custard inside,
custard inside. I was like, how is she doing it? Because I love to analyze. I'm like, technique, so I get really geeky about that.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was so exciting. And when I so happened to be in London, I was like, must message. Will they let me in?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I never know. I never assume because I always message people. It's like, hi, I really want to come, and I don't expect preferential treatment. But
you're going to get it anyway because you're Rachel Khoo. So we were so happy to have you there.
Oh, it was amazing. It was so delicious. I think I rolled back on the plane. So it's amazing how social media has so much negative press, but I think it can be something really positive too.
Yeah. Like Puff, we just started that as an Instagram page, and then we said, okay, we'll spend 2 weeks building it before we do the pop-ups. We'll do one a week for a month, and then out of nowhere there were queues, but literally purely because of Instagram, not because of like I have like a million friends. It was because of Instagram. So
it's fantastic. And then out of the pop-up, you've kind of gone on a little side road and started like an online course now, haven't you?
Yeah, it was really interesting because pre-lockdown, Nicola had left her job. So she was working at an ice cream sandwich company. She left. I was sort of like ready to deep dive into Puff along with her. So we were planning all our next pop-ups. So this was really like our main source of income and our main like work. Even though I have other things to do, this was like our fun work. And I rang her up one day and I was like, let's start an online school. And she was like, oh, I don't know. And then I said, okay, in 3 hours we're having a meeting, plan a curriculum, I'll plan one, we'll merge them together and we'll start. So, and then we set it up in 1 week and then we put it online and then it blew up. So yeah.
I mean, I follow the course. I haven't done the course. I was tempted, but I don't have enough time at the moment with all the work and then 2 small kids. But like, you guys are so good on camera. I'm just like, I love your energy and like the way you like just get in there and it's like, it's no, because I went to culinary school and sometimes it's a bit snobby. It's like,
stuffy,
you have to, stuffy, and we had to say we chef and you had to wear your chef whites, and I was always getting into trouble. You know, I don't think you tell your students off, do you?
No, but it's very relaxed. And, you know, I went to Le Cordon Bleu, but I only went for 6 months. And there were so many things that I got told that I had to do. And then in the real world, you don't have to do. So it kind of, I wanted to bring that to people and be like, oh, it's not so stuffy, relax. If it messes up, we can fix it. There's no problem there.
And then from Le Cordon Bleu, you went to work in restaurants, and one of them, St. John's.
Yeah, so I like I did a psychology degree, went to cookery school, and whilst I was at cookery school, I was working in kitchens, and then I just went full pelt into being a pastry chef. So kitchen after kitchen, lots of bad kitchens. And then I was about to leave the industry and ended up at St. John just as a fluke. I only wanted it as a small job whilst I was going home and applying for grad schemes each night, because I was like, I don't want to be in this industry anymore. And then I ended up just like falling in love with it. It was amazing. I was like happy to have a life again. They treated you like a human. We all sat and ate together, and it was just amazing. And then that was where I was really like, okay, this career is for me.
So when you were working at St. John, was there, because I can imagine, I mean, I've worked in restaurants before, and it is it's intense.
It's like, really brutal, yeah.
It's just, it's all the time. It's like nonstop. But was there like something you did, or like a moment in the day where you found like, oh, this is my simple pleasure. This is something I really kind of zone in and I look forward to doing every day?
Well, I found that with St. John, I always describe this feeling of like walking through the door every morning. And you know, when you're a kid and it's non-school uniform day and you feel instantly like happy. I used to tell people that when I used to go into work at St. John every day, I'd feel like it was non-school uniform day because it was just so much fun. All the staff were like, we were all friends. And then one of the best things that I did there was making puff pastry by hand. It was the most therapeutic thing. I'd never really made a lot of puff pastry by hand before. I'd always using like laminators. So they're very low on machinery. They want you to do everything by hand. And we would make Eccles cakes. So we used to have to make like, 3 or 4 2.5 kilo blocks every other day and like roll it all out. I know, but it would kind of be like who gets to roll the puff pastry? It would be a really fun thing. Yeah. And I used to really look forward to doing that. So yeah, so many things, but the puff pastry.
That's where the name comes from, no? Your passion for puff.
Yeah, I love puff pastry. And when I was at St. John, I was working with a girl called Michelle, and I used to get obsessed with like the way puff pastry would puff up in the oven. We had these old deck ovens and choux pastry, and I just used to go on about how it was so amazing that they would puff up, right? You'd put it in the oven and it would come out puffed up. So I drew a cloud on the wall, and I said, I'm going to open a bakery called Puff. This was years ago. And then we sort of like laughed it off, and I spoke about it to a few people, and then I did it this year. But
I believe in manifesting. There
you go. I planted those seeds.
Yes. Sometimes it just takes a little bit longer. You have to go through like a journey to get there.
Yeah.
That's amazing. It's like, but I totally get your love for puff pastry, like seeing those layers. That is something, with this new TV series, and the premise of it is like finding that simple pleasure of cooking and baking, and there are so many little pleasures you can find from cooking and baking, and that magic when you see all the layers and it's puffing up and you're like, oh, I did it right, I got my layers in there and stuff like that. I think that's one of the biggest joys I get out of cooking and baking, is that magic which happens, really. I think that's fantastic. So not only have you done a pop-up, you've got an online course, you wrote a cookbook as well, which came out this year. And I love the way you write. Like it's just so kind of straight. This is how you do it. This is why. Follow this, and it's like you're going to get it right. Yeah. Was that your intention, or what was the thought behind the cookbook?
Well, I for years while I've been working in restaurant kitchens, it's been like about 8 years now, I've had this big fat orange folder that I take everywhere with me, and it's just full of recipes. Whenever I'd learn a recipe, I'd rejig it, or I'd like love it, type it up, put it in this folder. And everyone in work used to always be like, I want that orange folder. I used to get so many people coming after me for this orange folder. And I said, okay, I'll put it in a book one day. And then I guess that's what this was. I was like, oh, I'm going to break it down and put it in a book. Because I found that whenever I jumped into different restaurant kitchens, loads of the chefs didn't know anything about baking, and they would find it really confusing. And I used to be like, guys, it's not that hard. It's really easy. You just need to know a few things. And the manual was very much like intended to be for people who like cooking already and like to dispel that stuffiness around cooking. And, if you can't afford to go to cookery school, pick up this book. It'll take you through chapter by chapter. And like each chapter is a building block. It's not your typical book with like recipe picture. It's more like building blocks of knowledge.
I mean, that's how the course at Le Cordon Bleu is kind of structured. I think the first thing I learned was, well, how to say oui chef, and how to clean. But after that, it was like, I think it was short crust pastry and how to line a tart ring. That was the first kind of technique we learned, because they were saying sablage, if you know how to do sablage, and they like, well, you can, like with a tart, if you know tart pastry, then you can make so many other fillings, and is. And so it was all these, the basics, and then you can just add on top, like you're saying. So it makes sense. And I think pastry lends itself really well to a very structured kind of guiding, because you have to follow a recipe. You can't just start. I'm going to chuck it. Although I was a bit naughty. I've made your cookie recipe a few times, and then recently I've just started like, I'll just do this and I'll do that. But I
feel like you're experienced enough to do that. It's okay.
But I won't.
You can go rogue,
so I won't go back to you and say, well, I made your recipe but changed a few things and it didn't work out. Do you ever get that?
So many weird messages like that, and I just think, well, you've kind of answered your own question. I have to stop answering them because they drive me crazy.
God, it can't be easy, especially when you're dealing with all the online and communication so easy nowadays. You can get bombarded from every side.
It's really, and it can be very overwhelming, because I have Counter Talk, which is a whole separate beast, and then Puff, and then my own projects. And sometimes like the communication from all those angles just like makes my head explode.
So Counter Talk, this is something which happened before Puff, but kind of came out of from working in the industry, for you.
So I set it up about 2 years ago, and it was always this thing that I'd had in the back of my mind, that I wanted there to be like a union for people in the industry, but not really like a, full-on union, just a place where I used to always say to my friend Rosie, there should be like a union for this stuff, for getting treated badly, or knowing your rights, because a lot of people don't know their rights in the industry. And then years and years went by, and then I was like, I might just set this little thing up. And then I did it. So it was initially like a community for people in the industry to start getting to know one another a bit more, because everyone sort of moves in their own bubbles and their own circles. And it was about like bringing these people together and like getting more exposure for those people that don't always get it, and just highlighting healthy work practice, basically. And then a year on, it transformed. I like saved up enough money to turn it into a tech platform, which then enabled companies to advertise, but they were vetted first. So we made sure that they were treating the staff properly, and they knew all about staff welfare before they could advertise with us.
You're juggling a lot of
don't sleep much. Everyone's like, how do you do it? I'm like, I just don't sleep much. But it's been really worth it, because through Counter Talk, we've done things like we do events like on staff retention, and we bring in leaders from other industries to teach us how to do simple things that are going to make your staff happy. And it's really simple things like communication, and when someone starts a job, how to onboard them successfully and offboard them, and all that sort of stuff, and things about confidence and goal setting. Because for me, about being in the industry, it's great. You don't earn a lot of money, but I always want to teach people that you can earn money. You just have to find other ways to do it, but still like knowing your worth. I'm all about like financial security and following your passions. So yeah.
It's that perfect combination, isn't it? If you can combine like financial security with your passion. I mean, that is like the ultimate goal for everyone.
It is doable.
It is doable, but I think you have to learn about it. I don't think I was taught that either at school or at art college or at culinary school. I really think, because I went to art college, I we did all these amazing projects and stuff like that, but they should have put in a module about how to negotiate contracts, because most of my friends are freelancers. We all ended up being freelance, copyright laws, like that kind of whole financial aspect, budgeting, running a company, all those, like a mini, I mean, I graduated a long time ago, so maybe they have that now, but like, I would have welcomed
like a mini business style course. Like, because when COVID hit, Counter Talk became very much like this safety net for people who were suddenly fired and didn't know their rights. So Nicola jumped on with me, and we then just started getting advice from lawyers and people in finance and accountants who could then help business owners and people who were in this difficult position. And it became very obvious that loads of these people didn't have savings. And I think that's a really big problem in this industry. It's like, you know, you work really hard, you don't get paid much, you spend it all on wine, and we spend it all in the restaurant you work at eating. And, you know, I've realized that during this time that needs to change when we come out of this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, well, amazing. I mean, like, hats off for putting so much energy and time into creating such an amazing resource, you know.
Thanks,
I really admire that. So with all your crazy projects, do you find time in the day to find a simple pleasure, like something you can, because for me, simple pleasures aren't something you have to go out or find, or like you can just literally do it anytime, anywhere. And right now, the moment, one of my simple pleasures is seeing my peonies in the garden, or I planted some peas and I've got one pea, but having that one pea brought me so much pleasure.
Yeah. I mean, my whole thing is that, like, because I work so much and it's like busy days, I try and always take time to stop. So in the morning, I'll take like a bit of reflective time, and I find pleasure just looking at the cats in my garden. I'll be like experiencing how beautiful that is, and having one of my favorite things to do in a day is my coffee and biscuit time at 4:00. Coffee and a biscuit. It's 4:00. That's like one of the best parts of my day. And like just very, very simple things, like having a conversation in Punjabi with my grandmother. Like that's all like it's all very meaningful to me.
By the way, to anybody who's watching, you have to check out Ravneet's grandma. She's a big star on your social media, on your Instagram. I mean, I love her. I think she's amazing. The stuff she comes out with, it's really original.
She's a lot of hard work, and what everyone sees on Instagram is like the best part of her. But she's mad, but we love her. We all have fun.
So your coffee and biscuit, is there any particular kind of biscuit you really look forward to? Or is it just whatever you have?
I definitely get it from my family because we're big biscuit fans. Like we always have about 4 different biscuits on the go at the same time. So at the moment we've got like rich tea, the lotus biscuits that are like cinnamony. We have the chocolate Leibniz. Oh, love those.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
Love.
How do you eat yours?
I bite the chocolate around the edges first. Then I eat the whole thing.
Yes! Oh my goodness! Yeah, that must be more people do that, because I do that. I can't eat it any other way.
No. And anyone who does is clearly crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then we have Twix on the go. We have like a very full snack drawer because we're a family of snackers. But it's really funny because my whole family are in very good shape because everyone in this house loves to exercise, but we love eating. We love exercising and eating. So, yeah.
That's a good combo.
I don't really run. I just do a lot of like strength exercises.
Strength is really important, really important, especially like I find if you're in front of the computer, or me, it's just like picking up like screaming toddlers and things like that.
But you need it for this line of work as well, because it's like all about resilience, right? Because you've got to be on your feet all day. You know, you're picking up lots of things. When I was at St. John, I remember I couldn't lift the really large mixing bowl from the floor. So then I was like, I need to fix this. So that's when I started going to the gym years and years ago, because I was like, I need to be able to lift a pig above my head.
Yeah.
And I need to be able to lift this mixing bowl. And I did it.
Amazing. I am now going to have that as a fitness standard. I need to be able to lift a pig over my head.
Because it was a common thing, because in the bakery, you would take the whole pig from downstairs to upstairs. And I remember there was one day where I finally could lift this pig up, and everyone sort of stopped and was looking at me with this pig above my head because I did it.
I don't know whether you find any from your doing like physical exercise that you kind of get some mental space as well.
Yeah, it's definitely like an hour of my day where my phone is away, my laptop is away. So that's, it's a really good break.
When it comes to food, like cooking on an everyday basis, or is there a certain dish which you really like to do, or is there like, it doesn't even have to be a dish. Is it like, for me, I don't know, I really love cheese on toast.
Yeah.
And I love it when you see the cheese bubbling and it starts melting and then it goes a bit crispy on the edge. That's one of my kind of, it's gone crispy on the edge and I can eat that crispy bit.
one of the most unhealthiest things that I love, which I don't allow myself to eat very often, but when I do, I enjoy it, is fried bread. Just like pan, loads of really good butter, melt it, dip your bread in on both sides and then fry it. It's really bad for you, but it's so delicious.
Where did your like cooking bug, like where did it start? When you were a kid, was it, or I don't know?
I don't know. It's really interesting because my mum is always like, was always annoyed that I'd become a chef for quite a long time. And she didn't inspire me to be a chef, because when I was growing up, she would never let me cook with her. I was never allowed to cook with her. I was allowed to watch, but I wasn't allowed to get involved. And then I used to really find it so fascinating. So I would bake on the side when she was out, because I knew that she just couldn't bake. So she had this really fat Delia Smith book, and I'd use that to make pancakes or like little biscuits. And then I really just didn't think much of it. And when I went to university, I started cooking so heavily for all my friends. Like every night I was cooking like big dinners or, you know, desserts, doing bake sales. And then I just decided that, yeah, that was the career for me, much to my parents' dismay.
My parents were the same.
Are they happy now?
Yes and no. I mean, they still worry. All parents worry. They're always worried. They think I work too much, which I do. So I'm trying to get better. Like my motto for the last 3 years has been work less, earn more. And I'm just doing work more, earning less.
How do you balance that though? Because you've got kids and, you know, you live abroad and you have all these projects on the go. How do you balance all of that?
I don't know. How do I balance it? So at the moment, there's no balance. So this morning, I had an interview at 6 a.m. and I forgot to put my alarm on. So at 4 minutes to 6, I woke up. I was like, I've got an interview. Quick, ran around, like brushed my teeth onto Zoom and did this interview at 6 a.m. And then it's like juggle the kids. And so at the moment, it's a lot of juggling. But the balance will come when I know the balance will come. I try and have these crazy periods and then I have down periods.
Yeah.
But the problem with my kind of work is you never know when you're going to get your next job.
Yeah.
So there's no, it's not a 9 to 5, you know, which I kind of love and hate. I don't think I could do a 9 to 5. Could you do a 9 to 5?
No, absolutely not. I don't think I could. Even if I did, I'd extend it because I love working. So I'd just be there from like 9 till midnight. I love, I get quite obsessed with projects. So no, it wouldn't benefit me to be in a 9 to 5.
A lot of people recently, the going out, being able to go out has been a pleasure that people have rediscovered. But another pleasure people are looking forward to rediscovering is getting together again. And I was wondering if you've been with all your family recently, so maybe that's the opposite for you, but is there something you're looking forward to doing, or like a simple pleasure you like doing with friends and family?
I miss dancing the most with my friends. We love like Friday nights going out dancing. It's like my favorite thing. Even when I'm chefing, I'd finish work at like midnight. I'd bring my clothes with me, get dressed in the toilets and go on a night out. Like our Friday nights, yeah, I miss dancing on Fridays.
Yeah, Zoom discos are not the same.
No, we did try it, but it really wasn't the same thing. So, yeah.
Look, Ravneet, I have absolutely loved chatting with you. You are just such a ball of energy and dynamic, and all the things you're doing. Like it's just so refreshing. I am a big fan, and I have been for a long time. And I just see, it's just amazing. So I'm happy.
A big fan of you. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much, honestly.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
So to everybody who's watching at home, make sure to check out Ravneet's social channels, which I'll pop in the description below, and also her cookbook. I have there the Pastry Chef's Guide. It's an amazing book, so have a look at your local bookshop or order it online. And don't forget my new TV show, Rachel Khoo's Simple Pleasures, which is airing on the Food Network Thursday, the 2nd of July at 9 o'clock. Until then, I'll see you next week. Bye.